good morning, good afternoon, at whatever time you are watching. Today we'll be talking about DC3. Today I'm going to show you how to start up the plane and how to fly, like how to take off and land. Those are the most basic things you need to know about this aircraft. So let's get started. Flight deck might look complicated for you, but don't worry, it is not really that complicated. We'll start off by opening the doors, which are over here, and as you can see, the doors are now open, so passengers can get in. Alrighty, let's connect the ground power, and you'll see that this small device in front appeared, and also this arrow will go to the right. Alright, once we have an electricity, we can turn on the position lights to inform the ground crew that we have electricity. Those lights are basically the same as navigation lights. Okay, let's prepare everything here for startup. I just flew here from Munich to get a bit more familiar with the aircraft, so I'm not going to lie, this plane really requires some training, but it is quite cool, so don't worry, you'll make it. Alrighty, so let's prepare the RPM. Those are these two levers. Push them, and the same thing with the mixture, which is over here. Alright, let's now go here and press on the left main on this red gauge and on the right one as well. So let me just set it up there. Alright, now we can prepare for an engine startup. So what to do? Push the full levers like halfway through, so you will be good to go. And the easiest way to start up the plane is to turn on the booster pumps and pull the magnetos into both positions. And make sure that this button, which is over here, is pushed. That's important. Alrighty, now we can prepare the right engine for startup. You'll have to start up them in a sequence. Alright, right engine primer, right engine starter of a mesh, and energizer for the right engine. Now the engines should start, and as we can see, the engine is slowly starting up actually. Alright, let's do it with the left engine as well. Left engine primer, left energizer, and mesh. The engine is turning on as well. This means that we no longer need ground power, but before we disconnect it, we need to turn on the batteries. And now the radio will come out, and let's turn off the ground power. Now we can turn off the fuel boosters, those are not important, and also make sure that the throttle is pushed in so the engines are not going to turn off. Alright, let's get ready for taxi. Before we go, make sure that this lever is pulled, and I really recommend getting a keybind for it. It is tail wheel lock. Alright, you cannot really turn on the passing lights, but before I take off, because we are in Innsbruck, I'll turn on the pilot heater and windshield. I'm going to turn on the panel lights so you can see better what I'm going to show, and let's get started. Let me release the parking brakes and pull the throttle backward. And now we are moving. Also, cool thing, if you really want this experience of like real flight, you can open the window and look out from the window like in the real deal. But because it is loud, I'm going to close the door. Also, you can open this window Oh no, you could open it on the H4, that's not the aircraft. Right, so let's look around and let's continue our taxi. As you can see, there is a traffic in front of us, but that's not a big deal. I can always pull the parking brake. And I'll have more time to explain basics of flying this aircraft. Alright, so one thing you need to understand. Oh, I forgot to close the doors. Sorry for that. I'm extremely sorry. Yeah, this is not the highest quality tutorial, but sorry, I'm really sorry. Alright, remember that this plane is a tail dragger, so the tail will lift itself before the nose. And that's quite important because in the moment when the rudder is over your wings, like here, is going to move over them, you'll have no control of the rudder. And that's quite important for a second. So you'll have no control for like a couple seconds, and then you have to pull slightly on a yoke. Seems like the plane has despawned. Sorry, that's not my fault. So let's turn on the landing lights, full takeoff. I know it sounds weird, this is how the things are going. And let's pull out the flaps. Full power. Maybe not the full power, but some power, you know. And also, before you take off, you'll have to lock the tail wheel lock, which I told you already about, the green lever. This plane has extremely good performance on takeoff, so I'm just going to take off from the runway, like that, without doing the backtrack, because the plane is very easy to turn, but also it has amazing runway takeoff performance and landing performance as well, but you cannot go really hard on brakes. So in case something goes wrong, you'll have to take care, because going hard on the brakes in this plane is not the deal. Alright, the tail wheel is locked, and let me go with a full power. And the plane is slowly taking off. There's nothing to worry about. Alright. The plane is like airborne already. That's good, and we are flying. That's a good moment to pull the gear up. Let him go for a second. Also remember that this plane is in miles per hour. So, not knots, but the miles per hour. Let me pull up the flaps, and yeah, we are going quite well. Let's turn left for our approach. Let me climb a bit so I don't hit a tree, and let's also turn off the landing lights. Also, looking around, the aircraft is very heavy in this plane, as you don't really see what's in front of you when you are taxiing, so you also have to take correction of that. So I'll see you on the landing. While flying, you can open the cowl flaps, which are over here. As now the exhaust will come out from the engine. Alright, so we are now going to align for our finals. Let me pull out the flaps and let me reduce the throttle. Also, if you reduce the throttle, the plane will pitch down immediately. So that's important. That's like the logic of flying the tail dragger. And the landing speed is about 70 miles an hour, from what I have read on internet. And I hope it's true, you know. Alright, let me pull out the landing gear. Landing this plane is also quite important, quite heavy. And while landing, it's also good to have your tail wheel locked. However, after in the second you touch down with your rear end of the plane, unlock this lever so you'll have some ground control. It is equally important to remember that it will take the tail more time than you think to touch down, so give it like 10 more seconds before making sure that it has touched down. Because if the nose is up, it doesn't mean that the tail is down, because the tail will generate some lift force, and because of that, you'll not land immediately. Okay, we are now over beautiful autobahn of Austria, here in Innsbruck. As you can see, this is the road down below, and the airport is over there. Good thing to know is that the DC3 has two types, comes in the two types in Microsoft Flight Simulator. The retrofit, which is like restored one, and the classic one, which we are flying right now in. I kinda overshoot that turn, but it's alright. The classic one is here, and it has autopilot, but like very basic autopilot, you know. And yeah, good. The autopilot kinda requires different tutorial, because it is very different from all the autopilots out there. But it is really not that bad, you know. Alright, the runway is coming up in my windshield. We have no crosswind because I'm flying with like custom weather, just to showcase you this aircraft, because no doubt landing this plane in Innsbruck during like with the real weather, with the basic ILS that is it is included in the retrofit version, would be pretty much impossible. Alright, I have a blind spot here. Also, this plane has lots of blind spots, so I have to like yawn a bit and roll my head to see something. Alright, the runway is coming up. Let me align the plane perfectly with the runway. I have no clue where the runway heading is though. And also the whole instruments are very similar to the Cessna. It's maybe not the best way to say anything about like the instruments itself, but it's true you can read them the same way as the Cessna one, so not a big deal. I have no clue where the wipers are on this plane. I know there are wipers, because you can see one here and one on the right window. I have no clue where to turn them on. Maybe someone down there. I'm not really sure. Okay, let me now focus on landing, because we are going a little bit too low for a comfort zone. Alright. Let me cut the throttle. Not to like 0%, to maybe like 20%. So I'll have some more speed. Alright, this is going to be a hard landing. Or not really. I forgot to turn off the G's, the mode which shows you the landing precision and speed of vertical speed, like yeah. It was quite off center line. Let me now go slowly on the brakes. Okay. I have no control of the rudder right now. Oh, I'm like drifting. Okay, once we are at the gate, we can turn off the engines. To do so, first pull the magnetized to off position and pull this thing out. Now turn off the position lights. Make sure that you have ground power connected. Cut on the RPM mixture out. And the engines are now turning off. Yeah, they are off, as you can see. So let's turn off the pitot heater and the windshield heater as well. Put the fuel selector into off. You can open the doors. And to go into cold and dark state, you have to turn off the batteries. And that's it. Thank you guys for flying, and see ya!